And we'll be back on the stand on Monday. Something that's been happening this week is the fourth industrial revolution, which is expected to disrupt the world of work and the way that business is done. Well, it seems that the creative industry will also be impacted by the fourth industrial revolution. Delegates at a one-day conference for the creative industry have been discussing ways in which they can take advantage of the changes that are to come. The 4IR gathering took place in Bryanston in Johannesburg. Earlier at the conference, our reporter Mbalenhle Mthethwa spoke to Thabo Molefe on data costs.
Now, what we know about the fourth industrial revolution is that there have been conversations on social media and around the country on data costs falling. There's been a call for data to fall because this is key to the fourth industrial revolution and to everyone's participation. But we cannot have this conversation without speaking to none other than Thabo Molefe. We know he's been at the forefront of calling for data to fall and cheaper costs because he initiated and started an online radio platform called Touch HD. It was formerly called Touch Central, but he rebranded it to Touch HD, and he's been calling for data to fall. But for now, I'm just going to catch up with him and just get more information as to how the fourth industrial revolution has been treating him, because an online radio station has to form part of the creative industry as well as the fourth industrial revolution. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Thabo Molefe. Please tell us about your call. I mean, you've pioneered the call for data to fall and all of that. Please tell us about your fight and how that's gone.
So the latest I've had is engagement with the ICASA CEO, Mr. Wellington, where the problem is not the networks, because the networks are under the leadership of ICASA. And the conversation thus far, I'm told, and I hope this manifests, is that this March we could be seeing a big lowering of costs across all networks. Reason being, there was an announcement where depletion of data can no longer be legalized, where you will lose your data end of the month. That happened last year. And follow-up, the conversation was, fine, we can get our data balanced, migrated to the following month, but that still doesn't change the core problem being affordability. So from that conversation, I was told that there had to be a robust back and forth with the networks, and it seems to me that there's been an amicable agreement to look into the month of March in making this announcement. I look forward to that day, and I think it's the biggest thing for all content creators to be able now to see a spike in the likes of your Touch HDs and other owned digital platforms being able to produce content without data being a barrier to entry.
So I imagine with data being such a barrier for a lot of people listening in and so on, how has it been? What are the challenges been? Must have posed such a big challenge for starting a radio station such as this one.
Anybody's trying to start any online platform, you need to understand that regardless how good your content is, if the cost of data is still expensive, your content is going to be lost in the air, because we have seen a serious spike with social media, for instance, producing celebrities, producing people, making people superstars. People are capable of producing content. That's not a doubt. Talent is not a drought. Talent is not a challenge. The ability to create content is not a challenge. It has always boiled down to, can I afford it? And you looking at a society or a industry that can produce jobs. So if the networks were to be regulated by ICASA, as a matter of urgency, we are going to see more jobs in the digital space. We're going to see more content, patriotism. The creation of content is not an issue of a business only. From a point of patriotism, you are seeing South Africans writing their stories, distributing their stories. So it's not an issue of communications only. It's us building pride with what we create as South Africans, the same way we prioritize locally and locally manufactured products. It should be the same way we prioritize locally created content, and all of that ties into the ability for ICASA to say, we want to see this implementation of a cost reduction in March, and those who are in the space of content creation, you now have favorable terms with the likes of your fiber or the likes of those who distribute internet. Your service providers now can do deals with the likes of any publications. Should you run your own online publication, your own VOD, you now can come up with pricing models that makes you compete with the Netflix, that makes you compete with the Amazons. Until then, we'll still be in the bottom of the food chain.
And then what about the release of spectrum? 5G, we've heard, through the course of last year, 5G has been released and so on. What does that mean for your business? Any improvement?
Before then, I think people are using terms like fourth industrial revolution. And I'm listening in this room, it's amazing, it's filled with energy. But we're using words and we don't understand the implication of what we're saying. We can't be excited about the fourth industrial revolution if Google still owns our database.
So changes happening